Yeah.
I just wrote something again. See, say hello. She wants to go down and walk. Where you go sit down?
From outside here. Yeah, I don't come in. I dance.
Never cry. Hello.
Ah. Oh, hello, Rusty. Good afternoon. You know your sister will not allow you to carry.
Those things are still outside, Abby.
Good afternoon, sir.
All right. I will send you. I just want to be sure you were there.
Everyone has been asking of you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
How is your Sunday going? How is your Sunday going? You ever me you are one sure. Hey, God deliver. She wants to see what's there. Ah, yeah, ah. Since I was live yesterday in the evening, I had about 3 lives yesterday, and in the 3 live video we had, people were all asking about Rusty. Gay. Hope you had a great Sunday. Mm. Okay, 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 perfect. You want to come down? Maybe where she can play. What of that mat? I'm just like, let me check on you guys. Most especially, I said evening I'll be coming not quite long. I think about 2 hours ago. About 2 hours ago or 3 hours ago, I was on live also. I did a morning section, I did the afternoon section, and I'm just like, okay, I'm chilling with my people, but that doesn't stop me from um, coming live also to look at those who are available to check on you. So that means today you are relaxing, you are off for today. In the next maybe few minutes, I'm already working on some subject that I think we can discuss on this evening. And hopefully it's going to be interesting as usual. So my intention is to make sure when I come live in the evening, I have basic stuff that we can discuss on, not just to entertain people, or most especially to encourage and to shift our perceptions about life, make us more conscious, make us more better people as we move or as we navigate towards life as a whole. Her. How are your children? How is everyone? Yes, definitely by 7 p.m. I will be live. If I have some guests, that will be fine. If there is no guests, yesterday I had a guest, but that was on Nigerian issue, real estate investment, and the rest of it. Was on real estate and the rest of it. So let's just say by 7 p.m. today, Mr. Rusty has to be there because every time I am on live, I don't know, maybe people are getting it confused. Maybe they think I'm Mr. Rusty, but I think people know clearly that there's Mr. Rusty and they're like, oh, where's Mr. Rusty? Where's Mr. Rusty? If you can look at even videos from yesterday, day before yesterday, every single time, where's Mr. Rusty? I'm like, okay. Now we have a chairman in the on the platform that push every conversation and people like to hear your opinion regardless. So hopefully I will be live by then, by God's grace. Any question of the day at the moment? Let me get inside. Some of the things I was actually hoping that we are going to touch on this evening has to do with the sympathy of women to men regarding relationship. We'll look into that, and it's more or less talking about relationship stuff and the dynamics of it. Those are specifically the subject we'll be looking at when it's 7 p.m. So I'm just still listening, working on the projects. I call it project or on the conversations we're going to be having. Please, if there's any other question anyone want to ask me before we go to that stuff by 7 p.m., please feel free to ask me. Okay, if there's none, hopefully by 7 p.m. we'll meet and we discuss. So for those who have joined, if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do subscribe to the channel. Let's wait by 7 p.m. We're going to talk. 7 p.m. simply means African time. So I don't know what the time is going to be over there, depending on the country. I have no clue. But by 7 p.m., let's support the channel, join membership, and let's all discuss. Today is Sunday. When we are done relaxing, let's all have time to discuss on whatever, and then we look into the subjects that are actually important. We have to look into relationship. Part of the blessings of being a man and the things I spoke about earlier today is, as a man, we are here to serve. And if men are here to serve, we need to have a place that encourages us to be able to flourish. And women also need to understand this, that it is easy for you to say that men are nobody, men are nothing. It is easy for you to demonize people, discourage men's efforts, tell them that they are not reliable or they are not trustworthy. All these things are very easy to say. Thank you, Mr. Adetunde. Thank you very much. Thank you, Creed. Creed says it's low. What's low? My mic? The volume is okay. Okay. If it's not okay, you let me know. I actually got this mic. Uh, that was yesterday. I got this mic yesterday. Was it on Friday? Okay, I think it was on Friday I got this mic. So it has a slight echo in all. Okay. Is it better now? All right. I just reduced the echo. So I'm still trying to understand it, and see how much. Just because I want the audios to be clear whenever we are having conversations, to remove all unnecessary noise whenever I have a conversation with you guys. So some subject we are going to be looking at is the idea of women valuing our place in life as men. Every single time it is easy for us to talk about the part women has to play in life. And trust me, they have an important role in life. But most times as men, they do not understand our path or our pain also. And we wouldn't blame them. The society have encouraged the idea that women shouldn't even understand us. They just have to. Men are just people who have to do this and do that and the rest of it. But on today's subject, when it's 7 p.m., we are going to analyze different perspective about men. Hopefully, most women should be joining, and so they can inform women on the way we view life and our struggles also, some of our struggles as men. But at the end of the day, um, Mr. Creed says it's like that. I don't understand. Okay, you said you understand the world you live in. Yeah. You understand the world you live in. It is easy in certain areas that some of us as men, we take some of these things as our fate. And we don't even struggle about those ideas. We just make it our life. Like we can roll in. The world does not appreciate us. But we need to also understand that maybe um, our past ancestors, our fathers, um, lived that way, and that is the reason why they are like women shouldn't care that much, and that's the reason why we are in a place where men are no much interested in dedicating themselves to marriage anymore, simply because men do not feel appreciated. And if we are not careful, it trickles down to the next generation. And the men of the next generation, most of them might not accept the way we also accept things. Yeah, and Ron, thank you very much for joining. Thank you very much for joining. I was just giving out a notification that by 7 p.m. I will be coming live and we are going to discuss about a lot of stuff regarding men, regarding relationship and perspective. And let me say this, and I've said it before. The first time I got this mic, I said it was someone who helped me and sent a gift to me, and I decided let me invest it back to the program. Mrs. Eniron is the one who helped us get this. She got this mic for me in a sense that she sent some funds, and I was like, oh, I have to use this to invest it back on the platform so that we can have good conversation and good audio. Thank you very much, Miss Eniron. Please, for those who are joining live, help me appreciate Miss Eniron. She's a great supporter, and I really appreciate your support. Thank you very much. I'm grateful, and we are grateful. So, yeah. So hopefully, you guys should join me by 7 p.m. while I round up the whole conversation. We have to pick it in different segments. Lisa says, men do not feel appreciated. Do women feel appreciated? I think most women don't feel appreciated. And yes, the conversation where it's actually going to move to. Men try to please women even though they don't verbally say that they are being appreciated. Society, on the other hand, does not either appreciate men or women. In fact, society does not appreciate anybody. Either you're a man, either you're a woman, either you're a king. They may bow to you because they idolize you. They may come close to you because you're a celebrity. And in fact, regardless of anything you do, you say, so we all don't feel appreciated. So what's the solution? Now, the solution is this. Part of the solution and the things we are going to be looking at is, why are we not being appreciated? I think that for Miss Lisa, for example, you do not need the whole world to tell you thank you. I do not need the whole world to tell me thank you. But I think that if I have the right people in my life who we appreciate each other for being there for each other, we understand our responsibilities as people to also appreciate ourselves and know that we are living at a moment, and the moment is going to change after a period of time, and we may not have this moment. We'll learn to appreciate one another. I think in that, life is going to mean a lot to us. Men and women who are into relationships, sometimes a lot of people who separate themselves from relationship or from who they are dating is basically because most of them are not being appreciated, either men or women. They feel they are not being appreciated. Lisa says men should not be judged for money alone. Women should not be judged for labor alone. Regardless of the fact that we have our responsibilities and the things we have to do, yes, you're right in the aspect of men should not be judged. About 2 days and even today, I this morning I had a subject and I talked about inevitable suffering. And that means suffering is part of our life. Trust me, suffering is part of our life. Either we admit it or not. In fact, the only reason why our suffering is being amplified in life is basically because a lot of us do not admit that life is part of suffering. Can you tell me anyone who has been successful on earth? Can you tell me a 20-year-old person who has not suffered on earth? Everyone has suffered in one way or the other, and everyone will continuously suffer. Suffering is part of greatness. The problem is that a lot of us do not understand why we are suffering. So I'm not saying men are not going to suffer. Men are definitely going to suffer. I'm not saying women are not going to suffer. Women are always going to suffer. Men are always going to suffer. And the moment we can admit our reality that suffering is part of our life, we can use that suffering and we can use it to raise our consciousness, choose a path, and we say this suffering has a meaning, and we have to get a meaning to our suffering. The problem most people have is that when they suffer, they do not have a meaning. They don't know why they are suffering, and so a lot of people are trying to end their suffering. Some people have been told that in their life they would never go through struggle. Mommy and daddy will be there to save you. The world is, and then we admit after we grow to a certain level that the world is a wicked place. The world is not a wicked place. You can't tell me society is a wicked place. Look at every good thing that society have done. Society could not do all these good things without doing some bad things. So we might not get appreciated, but we need to understand that suffering is part of our life, and we have to create the space where we feel comfortable. And in the space where we feel comfortable, we need to have the right mindset to flourish as people. And love is part of it, respect is part of it, appreciation is part of it. So that's what I can say for that. Rusty says, Lisa, what do you mean judge for labor alone? It's not judgmental to know what only women can go through labor. Surely. Absolutely. Absolutely. Lisa says ancestral transgression are also a part of our suffering also. Let me say this. Ancestral transgressions are not made, I would even say it's not majorly why we suffer. Let us put it in this perspective. If we look at Genesis, God created Adam and Eve. Some people have this perspective that Adam was living in the Garden of Eden and he was enjoying it. Can you tell me the place where Adam and Eve were actually playing with God or rejoicing? The Bible says even when God has not rained cost on Adam, Adam always go and farm. He always go out to farm. In fact, when the serpent, which was the devil, hypothetically, when he came to deceive Eve, Adam had gone to work. Eve was at home. So, and when they said that God cursed Adam and Eve for eating the apple, they said God cursed Adam and he says, out of your sweat you would labor to be able to feed. And please, was he not laboring before God cursed him? He was already working. So suffering was already part of his life. I just think that Moses had to write that particular passages just to make sense of the beginning of life. Suffering was already there. He never said Adam was not doing anything. Adam was already working. So out of work, he was laboring. He was already tilling the ground. He was taking care of the garden. So either we say we have ancestors or not our ancestors and the rest of it, we are going to suffer. As much as we are human, we are here to suffer. One way or the other, either we admit it or not. And I say this also, that when we look at the life of Jesus Christ, for example, a lot of people have this notion and believe that Jesus came to life to die so we wouldn't die. He became poor so we will be rich. He became this, he went through this so we will be that. That's a fallacy. Jesus was not poor so that you can be rich. His examples were totally different. Jesus came to show us that regardless of our suffering, we can be good. When he was nailed on the cross of Calvary, he wasn't bitter. He said, Father, forgive them for they know not what they are doing. Every turmoil Jesus went through, he was showing us as people that in our suffering, we can have a meaning. And in that meaning, we have to show love. He showed us a lifestyle. When Jesus came, it was to show us how we are expected to live our life. He became poor so we will be rich. How many poor people are still alive? You still have a lot of poor people who even go to church, who believe. But when you look at these people, they have the life Christ, they have Christ's life in them. Can you look at them and say that this person is truly a Christian? And can we name any successful person any great human being on the surface of this earth that has not gone through suffering. You want to talk about Nelson Mandela? You want to talk about Malcolm X? You want to talk about Martin Luther King? You want to talk about Frederick Douglass? You want to talk about Fela Anikulapo Kuti? There is no great person we want to talk about in life that the reason for their greatness is not due to the suffering they've gone through. Early this morning, while I was having the conversation with people, I made it very clear and I said, people should mark my word. Donald Trump will be one of the greatest presidents America ever have. And what is the reason behind it? The reason is very simple. Not because Donald Trump will be the one that will make America the richest country. Not because he's going to raise America to be superior over everybody, but because he was an individual that has gone through many struggles than most presidents we have seen in the past. He was the only president who had 34 counts, charges. A president who was threatened to go to prison. A president who was almost assassinated for the love he has for his country. And he kept sacrificing himself just to make sure that he is there to lead his people right. Now we do not understand his intentions, but his suffering is a message, and that suffering cannot go without humans acknowledging that this man put himself in the best place he can. Everything they threw at Donald Trump is just a way to amplify his name in history. Trust me, if Donald Trump did not become the president tomorrow and he's been assassinated, he will still go as one of the greatest presidents America ever have. And everything was simply because of what he has gone through. When Jesus was doing miracle and the rest of it, everybody knew there are a lot of people who does miracle. In my culture, in African culture, there are a lot of us who can do miracle. Real miracle. There are those who will consult the dead. There are a lot of people who can do a lot of miracle. But you wouldn't be remembered for the miracle that you perform. Jesus was not remembered for the miracle he performed. Jesus was remembered for the suffering he went through for the things that he loved. And that's why Christianity is being valued. So that's what I think it's about, religious perspective. That's what I think suffering is. Suffering is to make us better people. In fact, how can you have strength without going through suffering? How can you be reliable without going through suffering? Do you want to be with a man who has never undergone suffering in his life? How can you trust that kind of person? But whenever people have gone through the deepest part of life and they still come out to be strong, that's the man you can trust. So suffering has its parts because it builds us up as men. So in fact, I always tell women, a man who you date that is never willing to suffer, please run away from the man. Any man you date that is not willing to go through suffering, maybe through work or whatever, just run away from that man. I'm not saying that he must suffer the kind of suffering like he must carry the biggest load. That's not this kind of suffering I'm saying. I'm saying the man who is willing to do what it takes in the right way, not the one that will end up in jail. One who is willing to learn, one who is willing to undergo pressure. That is the man you want to be with. Because for men, it builds character. For women, if women undergo some of the stress that men go through, it will break the woman. And I always tell people, women's life has its own suffering. And I think that was what Rusty is saying. Women's life has their own suffering, which is come with labor. And I think that if a man wants to entrust a woman, you don't necessarily have to let that woman undergo through other suffering, because the suffering women go through is a suffering that helps them to be able to love and cherish children. so they can nurture the next generation, so that humanity can flourish in the future. This suffering is enough. It's a big labor and a big duty. So if women undergo through many suffering men go through, those women might become resentful. They might become bitter. Most times when you hear strong and independent women, you think they are happy. Tell me a strong and independent woman that you know that is a happy woman. She's not happy. Why? Because she has undergone through many pressure that men has gone through, and in that psychologically her mind have shifted. She cannot flourish in her purpose, and her fulfillment in life was to do certain things, but basically because she has suffered what she's not supposed to suffer, she does not have the capacity to endure those kind of suffering, because her suffering is different from a man's suffering. And if you undergo a suffering that you are not supposed to undergo, it changes you. Imagine as a man, I make a decision to get pregnant. Anyhow, maybe they did me surgery, they did something around my body, and then I became pregnant and I give birth. I will never remain the same. I would never be able to, I might hate men the more, because such suffering, I wasn't built for that suffering. I hope I hope I've been able to just clarify on a little way. I shouldn't make it another church service. I shouldn't make it another program. But I just touched on it based off the question you asked. So our ancestral transgressions are not basically why we suffer. Are they part of it in one way or the other? There's always an excuse for suffering, but suffering is part of our life regardless. Even those who does not understand where they came from, they still suffer. Motherless babies home, fatherless babies home, charity, all of them, they suffer. The problem is, some people are supposed to look inward and say that, why am I suffering? And this is the purpose about suffering. It is for us to look inward. The problem is that when people are going through suffering, rather than them to look inward, they begin to look outward. When you're looking outward when you're suffering, what you do is you begin to find a reason and you begin to blame somebody else for your suffering. You will suffer, you say it's because of the government. If you are married, you will say it's because of your husband. The man will say it's because of his wife, that's why he's suffering. If you don't have children, you say it's because you are barren, that's why you are suffering. If you are in a relationship, you will say it's because you are in a relationship, that's why you are suffering. If you are a leader, you will say it's because your people are stubborn, that's why you are suffering. If you are a follower, you say it's because of your leader, that's why you are suffering. There is no position you find yourself in life, you will find a reason to suffer. The only thing is this: are you looking inward? Are you reflecting on the purpose? Because the purpose behind your suffering is for you to find a meaning why you are undergoing what you are going. But some people, rather than them to find a meaning so that it will build them to be able to go through that particular stage in their life, what they do is they find an excuse and then they blame every other person. You ask me sometimes, I always tell the black community, both in the Western culture, you keep telling the whites, it is because of the whites, that's why you're suffering. Nah, those are the excuses. Yes, did this happen? Do you have certain effects? We can't deny what has happened in the past. But if we look inward, we ask ourselves, what are the things we are supposed to do as blacks? Number one, we need to value each other. Number two, we need to respect each other. Number three, we need to show love to one another. In the black community, are there people who show love to one another? Tell me, no. When you don't have love within yourself, and then you are saying somebody is doing manipulating you, people who cannot unite will definitely be manipulated. And trust me, if I am a capitalist, the best thing you do is to divide people. If you know that through dividing them is how you make money, why not divide them? Somebody somebody sent money. Somebody sent money. Who is the person? I didn't see it. It didn't reflect. Yeah. Whoever sent money, I've not been able to see your name. I don't know what's wrong with YouTube. YouTube is not showing your name. This is the first time I see a spiritual money on live without seeing the person. Thank you very much. Namaste. Appreciation. I'm grateful. So we have to learn to show love to one another. Africans and the Black America, why are we not coming together? These are the things we need to focus on. And because the purpose of the suffering is that we have to get a meaning by looking inward and by doing something about it. You do something about it. And sometimes we undergo suffering that we cannot really make a change. Not everything in life we have the ability to change. Some things in life we do not have the ability to change them. But while we undergo those particular stage in our life, we need to understand that regardless of what we are going through, do we find joy? Do we understand why we are going through it? That is only what determines if we would be able to go through those particular season at that particular time. With that being said, join me by 7 p.m. We will hit the nail on the head. Wham! We will discuss at length. We would reveal. We would expose some of the things of life. I will take some minutes, meditate, come up with certain things that I know that will be helpful to us. So let us start with our own conscious part, and I believe with that, God is going to lead us through. The universe will lead us through. The divine within us will lead us through. So for that person who has sent $2, thank you very much. I'm really grateful. I'm so shocked that I cannot see your name. It's amazing. So bye-bye everyone for now. By God's grace, if you can meet me by 7 p.m., please do join. Have a blessed day. Adios, amigos. Bye-bye for now. Is there any question? Let me even give out a minute. Is there any question? Or are we good to go? Are we good to go? Please, someone should let me know. Are we good to go? You see, if it is possible at this moment, the moment I'm done and I'm off live, first thing I'm going to do is to play some music and dance and dance. Sometimes dancing can be therapeutic. Rejoice. Please, if you can do the same thing, if you can do more things or spend time with your family, rejoice with your loved ones and the rest of it, please do. These are the best things we can take with us while we are alive. The memories of what we have done is what actually matters to us at the end of the day. Not what we go through, but the memories of and who we are while we go through the things we go through. Those are the things that becomes our own experience as we proceed with life. Have a blessed day. See you in the next video by 7 p.m. Adios, amigos. Bye bye for now.